All right, so for number 7, it's a pre-AP question. The problem with number 7 is we don't have the equation. We just have these. So you wanted to remember your vertex form. We don't have anything like in standard form or vertex form, nothing, but we do have the picture of the graph. So what you wanted to do first is look for points. You will need a vertex and you will need like another point on the graph. So you could make the equation. So the vertex form says f of x is equal to a x minus h squared plus k. Okay, so we will need a, we need h, we need k. But h and k can be solved right away because that's there. That's the vertex and it's happened to be a perfect point. So look at that. So what is that point? Well, that is actually 1 and 1. Okay, 1 and 1 and happens to be h and your k. Okay, so what we'll do is plug in. You will have y is equal to a times x. If that's 1, it becomes a minus 1. You have to flip the sign. But for k, you're going to keep that. That's plus 1. But we need to solve for a, okay? Because a is a constant number, but we need to find out what it is. If you notice, your graph is facing down. Therefore, that a is a negative. But we wanted to know, is it -1, -2? It could be any number. So let's find out. But first, how to find out? You need to pick one more point. This happened to be exactly 0. This could be 0, 0. And this is 2, 0. So you just pick one of them. I would pick the 0, 0. It's easier. So this is your x and that's your y. So this x and y goes in this spot of the equation that I have. So I will have at 0 equals a times 0 minus 1 squared plus 1. Now I'm going to solve for a. 0 is equal to -1 times -1 is +1 times a is really just a. Then plus 1. But since that one I'm solving for a, this is going to go to that part. A now will be -1. Now I know that the final vertex form of this equation will be f of x is equal to, that's a -1 and that's a part of a, -1 times x minus 1 squared plus 1. And I don't have to write that, so I will just make it really simple. X minus 1 squared plus 1. So this is the TSI way. Like, how will you solve it without a calculator? You do it this way. There's another way. You could also do completing the square, or you could do, there's so many strategies. But if you don't have any really points like these, I would recommend doing it with the formula, the -b/2a formula, because it's easier. But that is if you have a, b, and c, if the form is in the standard form like this. But if there is really none, then you have to memorize the equation, that vertex equation. You have to memorize it. Okay, so the vertex form will always be like this. Okay, this works when you just have the drawing of the graph. You need to go back to that so you could go backwards. So let's try to compare our graph and this graph if they're a match. So let's see, our equation here is x minus 1. So I'm going to type really what I was able to solve and come up with. So I have x minus 1 close parentheses squared plus 1. Okay, plus 1. Hey, why is that 21? Plus 1. So x minus 1 plus 1. Now let's compare. Oh, it is a negative. Look, guys, I forgot the negative. So there should be negative. So this should be also negative on the outside. Okay. Let's compare this graph. So it says 1, 1. Let's see if this is vertex 1, 1. It is 1, 1. Is that 0, 0? It is 0, 0. I need the other point. 2, 0. Yes, it is. Is it facing downward? Yes, it is. Therefore, This answer is correct. It matches to the Desmos graphing. Manual solving, Desmos will be your, if you have an access to your Desmos. Okay? So you have to learn both of them because it's easy to solve with the Desmos. You will need this for TSI purposes. Let's do number 8. Another one. So number 8, the points are given to you. 4, 4, and 2, 0, and 6, 0. So let's do the vertex form first. Vertex form. It says f of x is equal to a x minus h squared plus k. So we need h, we need k, we need a, okay? But we will have to need another point, another one. 2 and 6, I will pick 2, 0 because it's smaller. You could pick any one of them, but I'll pick the smaller number, 2, 0. So now I'll have to plug in. It says y is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. I just took out the f of x, although they're the same. All right, so this is my x, this is my y. That's my h, this is my h, and this is my k. All right, so look at that. I'm labeling my points already. So why will I use h and k, and why will I use x and y? They're actually the same. It's just that we use h and k for the vertex to separate and identify that this is the ordinary points that is on the quadratic equation, and h and k is exclusive for the vertex. It's just that kind of concept. So your y is now 0. You don't have an a, but we do have an x, which is 2, minus, we do have h. 4 happens to be a positive 4, so you have to slow down on this part. You have to identify your h. H is a 4. It becomes a minus 4 here. You have to change the sign of h squared. And then k is a negative 4. So you keep the sign for the k, negative 4. Don't change it. You notice nothing, no x and h and k is left. You're just really left with the letter a. So that's what you'll do. You just solve for a. 0 is equal to 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2, let me write it down, minus 4. So 0 is equal to 4a minus 4. Solving for a, this goes in that side. So 4 is equals to 4a over 4 over 4. You're left with a is equal to 1. It is a positive 1. Therefore, your graph is really facing upward because a is a positive 1. It's a positive value. It's either up or down. Because that's positive, so it's facing up. Now we're ready to make the vertex form, the equation in vertex form. Therefore, f of x is equal to, what is my a? 1. X goes back to the equation. X is part of the equation, so don't change this anymore. But instead, we're looking at your h this time. Your h says it's a 4. Change the sign into a negative 4. And then it says on the formula k, what's the k? Negative 4. Keep that negative 4, no change. That is your answer. Now you wanted to match this with the graph. You match it. Is this the same equation as the graph here? We'll find out. So let's graph it. It says a is 1 positive. X minus 1 is a 4 squared. And it says a minus, and it's 4, right? So 4. Okay, so we have the graph. We're looking at the graph. Now we wanted to match these with the Desmos. So this one is the graphing method. We'll match them. Negative 4 and negative 4. It's a match. Let's see with the other points. 2 and 0. 2 and 0. On the Desmos, we have 6 and 0. 6 and 0. It's a match. Therefore, this is correct. So this is correct. The correct form, and we have the vertex. Vertex is also correct. We have to match all of them, and then we conclude that our graph and the form, they match, then it's correct. Okay, any questions clarifications, reactions,